No, you did not read the title wrong. We need more Axis campaigns. And when I say Axis, I mean like any faction in the Axis. There's the Germans, there's the Italians, there's literally anyone. So I'm doing this because I looked back at Vanguard and Battlefield 5, and then I did the German campaign again, and it was amazing. It was so good because you know you're fighting a losing war. And that these Germans, they're not just, just evil Nazis and stuff. They're either people who are forced to fight, or they're people who just think they're doing the good thing. But no one wants to do it because they're scared it will offend some people. But they forget that they're making a game about World War II, which is very offensive. In all the games and movies and shows, they always show that the Nazis are the bad guys. They kill innocent people. They do so much bad stuff. But they never show how a German soldier was or how it felt to be one. And that they always act like the Nazis or the Germans, when they do all this bad stuff, killing the Jews and innocent people, they always act like they just don't think about it. Like when a German kills a Jew, he's just like, the Jew died, yay. But like in reality, I'm pretty sure he regretted his decision and didn't want to do it. Because you have to remember, the thing about the Nazis is that they have to listen to orders and they can't surrender, because if they do, they'll die. So when a German kills an innocent person, that doesn't mean he wanted to do it. He just had to do it or else he'll die. But I love The Last Tiger because they show that they're normal people. They have personalities. It's just that they have to fight. A really good example of this stuff and of what I just said is one of the parts where they show like the people being hung. In this part, you get to see the destroyed city and the destroyed tanks, and you see his reaction. Like, he's calm, but he looks pretty scared and shocked because he knows what he done. He did all of this. It's his fault. That while, yes, it isn't technically his fault, he was there, though. And then we get to see a guy crying because I believe it's his wife that died, and then after that, he just looks at him, and then you just get to see his reaction. He just looks away. And then it cuts to his face, and he's just shocked and terrified and traumatized. Because he knows he did this and that he's pretty much caused this. Then it shows the hung people, and then you got to also see his reaction. He's just terrified and shocked. He's just in disbelief that they did this, their country did this. And then we get to see that captain from before, which I haven't talked about yet, but basically he just does a salute. But then, of course, he doesn't do the salute back because he's just shocked and can't process everything. The tank then stops, and then we get to see the soldier that was in his tank being hung because he deserted. It's not showing up right now, but it will. It's going to show up soon. Just wait. There it is. It's just terrifying to see for him that if you desert, this will be you. If you surrender, this will be you. We then get to see one of the soldiers in there call him an idiot and then call him a traitor for deserting. But then the main character just tells him that, he served his orders and he did what he had to do, so that he should be honored for it. These two characters are like a splitting personality. One is all about how the Nazis are and he's just following the Nazis and stuff. While the other is just, he always thinks about what he's done and realizes that, maybe the Nazis aren't so cool. They actually show, how the Nazis would react to what they're doing. They wouldn't just be like, yay, look, he got hung because he's bad. He's a bad guy. They'd be like, oh, damn, he got hung. That could be me. You have to follow orders. If you don't follow orders, you die. You either get the choice of dying or dying. But I believe Battlefield 5 is the only game that has ever showed how the Nazis were and made a campaign or a story about the Nazis and Germans. And that when you play it, you're like, wow, these Nazis and Germans, they have personalities and, they have to follow orders or else they'll die. And then that, they're just trying to serve for their country, but they don't know that what they're doing is horrible. And this campaign gets to show you how it felt to fight for a losing war. You keep fighting even though you can't turn the tide, you can't change it, you're just going to end up losing still. Especially since you know that the Nazis are losing and that they're going to lose. And this part is also amazing too. It's like the ending. So his friend, this is the officer's friend, he tries to desert. He then explains to him that, the Nazis aren't cool people. They just left them to die. And that should they just keep fighting even though they're going to lose anyway? Of course, like the officer's still like, hey man, come on, just come back in. We're going to still fight. We could still do this. And then he's like, well, why should we fight if we're just gonna lose anyway? You know we'll lose, so why fight anyway? You have to remember, these two are friends and that they're both in like a different spot right now. One's trying to tell him that we can't do this, we're gonna lose, they left us to die, they're not cool. And the other's like, I don't like them, and that I do think that they're horrible, but I'm just trying to follow orders so I don't die and you don't die. He then walks away to try to desert, and then of course the officer does nothing because he's his friend. But then soon we get to see that the other guy just straight up shoots him in the back. The character then looks at him, he's just shocked because he's his friend. He then tries to tell him like he was a traitor, he tried to run away, and then we see him just scream for his name and just try to run to see if he's okay. The guy who shot him is just like, weakness is bad, being strong is good, right? You told me that. And then of course we see him at his dead body, just sad because he's his best friend. Then we see the Americans come in trying to shoot him out. And then this part was just amazing because of course his friend dies. He's just shocked and sad, and you could see that he just gave up. And you see the Americans just keep shooting them. It's all in slow motion. You see him turn back, and then of course he gets up, and then he just sees all the gunfire and bullets and everything, and then he just realizes that I can't keep doing this anymore. I'm just giving up right now. And then he actually puts his badge off, and then it just shows that he just given up. He just can't take it anymore. He then gets up and then looks at him, and then he proceeds to put his hands in the air. The other soldier screams no, and then he proceeds to shoot him too because he surrendered. And then of course that shows that if you surrender, you die, but if you fight, you die. And then of course shows the little dialogue at the end saying that there's hungry citizens, crippled production, and the industry of death because everyone was dying. But then it shows more words but no surrender because you weren't allowed to surrender and you can't surrender. It then shows a quote and then shows that German soldiers were forced to do what they were told, and they had to do what they were told, and they believed that they had to do what they were told. Which is why Nazis never surrendered, really, and they never tried to desert. And then, of course, them doing this and forcing them to fight caused a bunch of people to die, including the Allies and the Axis forces. It then says, quote, murderers are not monsters, they're men, and that's the most frightening thing about them, end quote. This shows that, Nazis and Germans, they were murderers, they killed innocent people, but the terrifying thing was that they're normal people, they were men. But yeah, I really do think that there should be way more campaigns about the Nazis, the Germans, the Italians, anyone in the Axis forces, I don't care. To just show that even though these people were shown as the bad guys and that they did bad things, the actual soldiers were good people and just normal people. It's just that, Hitler was the bad guy because he forced them to fight. He said that if you surrender, you die. If you desert, you die. While the soldiers were just following orders, I can't surrender, I'll die. If you surrender, I'm going to kill you. Anyways, that's going to be the end of the video. Subscribe or like or something, I don't really care. Bye.